poquito para adelante, Manuel.
¿Sí me oyen?
Sí.
¿Me oyes muy bien?
Sí. Ahora sí.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, greetings. We have a little technical issue that has been resolved. We thank you for staying tuned in the last session of today. It's a pleasure to me to introduce you to Mr. Roberto Salas. He is the Technical Secretariat of the National Secretary of PPPs and Delegation Matters here in Ecuador. Today, he will explain the PPP opportunities in Ecuador projects and detail some of the pipeline projects that are currently in force. Roberto, welcome, and go on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alejandro. Sorry, everybody, for the delay, but it was for technical problems, because this new platform, they are not so common in Ecuador. So, but we are ready now to start. Thank you for waiting. And one is the challenge is that all this waiting time will be worth because the high interest that Ecuador is causing in the investing world, because the opportunities that we have today, and these are important opportunities based basically in some benefits that the Ecuador offer today. And what is the most important enablers to attract private investment to these state projects is basically the dollarized economy that the country has, and on the other hand, the open and friendly environment that this government is offering to all the investors and finance institutions to come to Ecuador and to be part of these opportunities. One of the most important proof that the government is committed with this fiscal balance in order to reduce the capital cost in the financing part, reducing the country risk, and obviously the openness of the country to new sectors for PPP projects. The public-private partnerships are taken very seriously in the national strategy of the government, and we are finding not just companies or that are experts in building or operating and maintenance of the infrastructure, but also all the new financing sources that this project needs for the bancarization of the financing closing, in terms of the benefit to have a project not just developed by the technical side or the building side, but also with a financing closing in time and in the best cost for the project. Next, please. So this enable today, we have been working for almost a year on a different strategy, national strategy framework, based basically in three most important pillars. The first one is the institutionalization, modernize the regulation, and the third one that is quite important is the results-oriented execution. So not just to create the enablers, but also the capacity to convert ideas into projects, well-structured projects, and projects into contracts, and contracts into the work that we have to do to deliver to have a better infrastructure for the citizens, for the people. So in the institutional part, next please. in the institutional part, we created a secretarial office focused on the public-private partnerships, but also all the delegation that the government gives to the private sector in different sectors of the economy, the strategic sectors, public services, and so on. And one of the differentiation that we have with other office is that this office, or this secretary, is attached directly to the presidency to create the most relevance and the most capacity to influence within all the web that we have in the state organization, to have the enough capacity and the strength to do the things works and the things happen. So in that kind of environment, we have decided some special model to the organization of this secretary or this institution. We decided to take a model that is more decentralized, but with high involvement in the processes. So we have been developing capacity in this institutionalization framework mainly in three most important roles. The first role is to be an interlocutor of first instance for investors and financiers, articulating the prioritization, the public registration of the projects to create more transparency. And something that is quite important also is the monitoring and the following all the steps and all the stepping stones that are quite important to guarantee that the projects are running in time and in cost. That is probably one of the most important challenges that we have, because in the public sector, this is so challenging, but we are preparing all the capacities to confront that kind of challenge that we have. Obviously, it's quite important not just to have a very good portfolio of products, of opportunities, but at the same time that create attractiveness to these opportunities, and at the same time to have support in the long-term funding or sources for the financing part of the during the construction of the infrastructure, or at the same time during the operation and maintenance of the construction. So this strategy has been placed in the last 6 months, and we are trying to do this in the part of the institutionalization. The second part, that is in the next page, is about to improve the regulation, to modernize the regulation in terms of transparency of public tenders, in terms of efficiency in the processes, in terms of the legal certainty of the contracts, and the incorporation of some rights in the financing actors that can be more useful to resolve extreme situation of risk, and at the same time to have a better way, or to have some alternatives for conflict mediation and solutions. We know that we are talking about long term, and long term means uncertainty, and the uncertainty that we cannot manage is one of the biggest challenges, as you know. But one of the things that we have to adapt to our regulation is to incorporate some tools that help us to increase in a better way, to manage that certainty, to manage the decision that the parts have to take a decision about how to solve differences and how to solve conflicts without necessarily to reach to arbitrage or something like that. So at the same time, the next page, please. We are working to develop capacity for execution. And in this part, it's quite important to have not just the technical skills, but at the same time, the culture within the technicians that are involved in the public sector to serve the projects and to serve the investors. And in that, one of the most important part of our challenge is to create capacity and processes for the interinstitutional coordination. That probably is one of the most important the challenge that we have and that we are learning from other agencies or the secretaries in the region and in the world. So, having said that, I think it's important to go to the next page to talk about what are the opportunities that we have, how we are organizing those opportunities. And we have prioritized and we have published 50 projects for more than $30 billion in these 50 projects to create some awareness, some motivate, some interest in the investors and financiers to be part of these projects. So all of these projects that I will mention, they are public projects with the participation of the private sector in more or less 7 or 8 segments that we have categorized. In the next page, we can show that in this portfolio that we have today, that we have the second update of the portfolio that we announced and we delivered in last November. In this May, in the month of May, we delivered the second one, when we have today $39 billion in capex and opex in 50 projects. In these projects, we categorize in some areas. When as you can see, there is 4 most important sectors that probably concentrate more than the 80% of this amount. It's mainly the oil and gas, when the government has a very aggressive strategy to increase the capacity, the production capacity of oil and gas, natural gas, and at the same time to increase the efficiency of the refineries when we have been using low level of technology and high level of inefficiency that we have to solve. And in that sense, this sector, for example, is about the 50% of the opportunities in many projects that we have to increase exploration, increase production, increase efficiency in refineries, and other kind of initiatives that we are going to mention in a few minutes. The second sector is the energy, mainly for renewable energy. The Ecuador has today a production, a generation of more or less 7,000 megawatts per year. And we are using close to 5,000 of megawatts, but we are expecting for the next 15, 20 years to have at least the double of the needs that we demand today. That's why we are preparing structuring some projects for hydro energy and from non-conventional renewable energy like eolic and photovoltaic, solar, and other kind of source of energy to increase in a high level, mainly for more than 4,000 megawatts new generation for the next 6-7 years. The third is the mining sector. The mining is another way to make delegation to the private sector in the case of Ecuador. And we are doing some very, very hard work helping to the Ministry of Mining to support the promotion and the follow-up of the projects that we have today, closing or ending the part of the advanced exploration and to convert into the industrialization process. And that kind of process, we are so pleased to announce that we are in a very good shape, and we are going to multiply by 4 the exportation of in this sector in the next 10 years. And the other sector, obviously, is the infrastructure. And let's go to the next page to talk about this kind of opportunities in infrastructure. So in all this project, we're focused not just in developing the project, but in the job creation. That's one of the most important priorities. When we talk the PPP, it's not just how the people will benefit that with the services, but in the case of Ecuador, I think in the case of many countries, it's so important to have not just the public service improvement, but at the same time, the job creation that we have to offer to the citizens. Having said that, in the next page, we are going to make some examples of this. For example, in the case of roads or highways, so we have today $5.2 billion in opportunities for highways and some other projects in the transportation area. For example, this is one of the most important the project that we have in the short term. This is for this year, for 2022. It's one of the most important project that we have as PPP. This is about the 35 kilometers, and we are offering this for a private initiative that will be in charge of this kind of project. In the same, the next one is another project in another province where we have more than 100 kilometers of highways to connect Montecristi and La Cadena in the Manabí province, one of the most important provinces close to the coast. When we have many years of expectation of the citizens to improve these highways and to decongestionate the traffic that we have in this kind of route. And the next one probably is one of the most important area in this same. This is about almost 200 kilometers in the same province, in the Manabí province. That is the Manta Quevedo. This is a project that today is organizing a private initiative also to develop this project that benefits thousands of people, and that create obviously an important wellness in the traffic, and not just for the people, for passengers, but also for the logistic part that is very important to improve. The next one is is one of the most important projects that we have that create 2 highways and then to unify the original source of the most important logistic freight to go to the ports, to the most important ports of the country. The 80% at least of the exportations in bananas, in shrimps, and other kind, and cocoa, and other kinds of agricultural products that the country exports to the world. This is a combination of some highways, a very important bridge of almost 3.5 kilometers that you can see in this area, and that would benefit millions of people, not just in the province of Guayas, but also it's quite important to have one of the most important capacities in the logistic part, with savings that save around 50 kilometers to all the transportation that today make a high level of congestion in the city of Guayaquil. The next part, for example, when we talk to other kind of sectors, let's talk about energy. Go ahead, please. We have, for example, a commitment to improve an energy matrix that is already one of the most renewable in the region. 95% of our energy is produced by hydroelectric. But today, even though we are increasing the hydroelectric capacity with two main projects that we're going to mention, it's quite important to diversify for non-conventional renewable block. For example, this 500 megawatts that today they are already in a public tender and we will have the contract signing perhaps in the first quarter of the next year. Next, please. This is probably the most important hydroelectric that the Ecuador is developing today. We are starting in the planification and we are hiring the consulting structure firms to create one of the most important public tenders that we'll be doing for the year of more or less 2023, probably in the last quarter of the next year, to have this public tender, well-structured projects, 2,400 megawatts of potential with an investment of about $3 billion in one of the most important hydroelectric in the region. That is, today we are in the phase of the structuration with the Ministry of Energy. Next, please. This is another hydroelectric. This is for 600, close to 600 megawatts. These are the 3,000 megawatts I was talking about. And the other 1,000 or 1,000 and a half is about the non-renewables, mainly for the oilic, for photovoltaic, and probably other kind of energy source like the hydrogen, that we are open to receive that kind of initiatives, mainly private initiatives for this diversification. Cardenillo obviously is something that is more advanced. We are finishing the structuring process, and perhaps we will be signing contract next year in this kind of this. And we could talk about other kind of, for example, in natural gas. Natural gas is something in Ecuador used in a very low level. So we are today in this process that we will be closing in the next year. Is the combined cyclet for thermoelectric block, mainly for natural gas. This is an important strategy because we are more dependent of oil today, but we're diversifying the all kind of energy in the country is with natural gas as a new block for generation for the next year. Next, please. And in health, for example, we are preparing the structure, the planification and structuring projects to create the first PPP in health infrastructure. This is a project that we are structuring today. It's a small project, let's say about $80 million in 3 small hospitals, and we are creating something low-hanging fruit, let's say, to create some testimony that the PPP format of delegation is testing to create trust and to create confidence that the PPP projects in this sector, that is something new in the Ecuador, we can create very good infrastructure with benefits to the citizens mainly, but also for the state and the private sector that will be used. The railway system, which I will finish, is probably the most challenging project that we have for the PPPs in Ecuador. This is one of the most important projects. As important is a complex project because it crosses about 1,000 kilometers across the country, mainly for the coast to all the mountain sectors of the Cordillera Los Andes, and then end in the ports for the exportation, for logistics. A difference of the of the history, Ecuador has been working just in the tourist parts of the railway system. But today we have to change that, because that kind of configuration of the project is not enough. It's not profitable. So we have to develop this new way based on logistic, on loading, logistic, and obviously to transform also the part of the mobilization of products and people. This is the opportunity that we have. We are in a very fast learning process. We thanks the World Association of PPP that are helping us to speed up this learning process. We are very well organized, and we hope that we will be attractive, not just for participation, but also for concrete in projects and the benefits in this kind of projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roberto, for your clear exposition of today. We see that Ecuador now has a clear path to follow regarding PPPs. We congratulate to all your team in the job that you are performing in a daily basis to make PPPs a real certainty in the near future. We have one question from Jean-Christophe Bart that I would like to share with you. That says, you stress the importance of dispute avoidance to prevent long time consuming and expensive legal proceedings. Can you elaborate on that techniques you plan to use for that, please?
Yes, sure. I think that we have been working in the legal proceedings, obviously